Josh from Elevate My Faith, and today I kind of just want to make a video about when you're feeling very discouraged or like a failure in God's eyes or like to his calling, because I definitely felt that this past weekend, so I figured I might as well address it and make a video because I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels this way. So yeah, I just had this very overwhelming feeling of being a failure and like just not doing what I thought I should have done for the Lord this weekend, because I volunteered and I had to pray over some people and I felt like I totally messed up the prayer. Another guy had to take over, so I was very disappointed in myself. And then my husband had a calling to go pass out QR codes at a natural history museum, which in the QR code would have linked videos to show that evolution isn't real and creation is real, so God's real. But so we only just placed them around the museum. We never had the courage to go up to people and physically hand it to them, and that's like another reason why I felt like I failed and didn't do the calling that, like my husband was called upon, and I felt like I failed for him too. So yeah, just that going back to back, I just felt like a complete failure, and like, yeah, it was such an overwhelming sense of dread and like failure. So yeah, I got prayed over at church over it because it was bothering me so much. Of course, I burst into tears again, just like when I had approached Pastor John a couple months ago about like losing my sense of peace for the Lord, and now I was crying because I just felt like a complete failure in God's eyes. And he of course explained to me those thoughts are not from God, and so obviously the enemy was taking advantage of my vulnerability and trying to attack me and just make me want to give up. And to just take that weight off my shoulders, because like obviously like I'm not big enough to change God's plans. Like I have to keep that in mind. Like just because I messed up doesn't mean like what God was trying to do that day was ruined. And we can't see the bigger picture as well. Like you don't know after you walked away like what happened, or you know what I mean? So like it's easy to just think you saw everything, but you really don't know what came out of things afterwards. And it can also be kind of like a sense of pride in a way, because you think you're big enough to, really change things. I mean, I don't think I was experiencing that, but I do see why my pastor brought that up, because you just thought you like completely messed up God's plans, and that's like thinking you're bigger than God. So I get that. But if anything, I was just feeling more shame, and I think he realized that towards the end after I was talking to him. Like, I can tell you're feeling so much shame, and you need to lift this weight off your shoulders. So then he prayed over me, and I think it really helped, because like even after church, I was still like inconsolable. I felt like still like just this crazy negative emotions. So my husband had to go grocery shopping because I was still in the car just crying and dealing with my crap. And then not till a little later on that day, I finally just felt it completely go away. And then I was even like, wow, I wonder why I even felt like that. Like, I can't believe I was like going through that. It's kind of crazy. I guess that's what spiritual warfare does to you. You're just like in that moment, everything seems so hopeless and that you're never going to get out of it. And then like later on, you're just like, oh wow, like I can't believe I was going through that. So, yeah, I get embarrassed going up to the pastors and like pour my heart out to them like that. And then, because I guess I don't want to be judged too in a way. But my husband does think it probably helps. Like, that's probably why I got out of that terrible state of mind later on in the day, because of the prayers put over me. And then also, Sunday evening, I had a Bible study, and I'm just so thankful two girls were able to show up, because I was also thinking if no one could show up to it, like, I was just going to feel like even more of a failure, because, like, I feel like the Bible study is a huge calling for me, and I really want to, like, pursue that and have that purpose in my life. So, yeah, I'm very thankful, because the one lady got a huge migraine, and she hadn't had one in years, so she said Satan was trying to stop her, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure he was, since I was so vulnerable and wanted people to show up. So that's the only reason her and another girl was able to came, and then 4 other girls were supposed to come, but like life happens, I get it. So I'm just so thankful they were still able to come. And then it was just so funny, because then the Bible study was on the book of Haggai, which was so fitting after like for what I was going through, because the people got discouraged with like building the temple after it was destroyed 70 years ago, and not happy with how it used to look like when Solomon built it. So they were comparing themselves, and there's just like literally what I was kind of going through. So yeah, the girls in the group even thought that was funny after, because we were talking about our highs and lows for a week, and I said my low was obviously just kind of feeling like I messed up God's work and calling for me. And then one of the discussion questions was like, what can you do when you feel discouraged carrying out God's work? So like, and that was crazy, because I literally made this lesson before, this even happened to me. So yeah, they just thought that was funny how that came full circle. So yeah, the Bible study being really good, which was nice, and finally a positive way to end my like crazy weekend on a good note, you know. And then I just wanted to go over this because then I also watched one of my favorite YouTubers that does the Bible studies, Casey Nicole. I've talked about her before on my channel. I watched her go over Haggai, and like how she ended with it was like literally just what I needed to hear. So that was like, so I wanted to share it with you guys. So she ended the book of Haggai with saying, "Nothing is truly worthy of God, not even Solomon's temple," which, you know, the people thought was like the best thing ever for God, and that their temple wasn't good enough. "We don't need to compete with anyone, but simply offer our complete best to God. Trust Him with the results." And that last sentence was important to me too, trust Him with the results, because I've heard like that 3 times to me now after explaining my situation. So obviously think that's very important to keep in mind. Like I said, we can't see the big picture that God can see. We can only see a little bit. So even though we may feel like we failed, this is my pastor said this as well. Like he said, he had sermons he felt like he completely bombed, but then he had people come up to him and saying it helped them so much. So like in your mind, you think you can be failing and not carrying out God's work, but in the meantime, He's still using you, and even if you can't see it. So yeah, it was just so nice to read that after the weekend I went through feeling like a failure. So yeah, I guess that's just why I wanted to make this video, because I just really wanted to put this out there for people that are going through the same thing as me, because I'm sure at some point in your Christian life you're going to feel like this. And I just want you to realize it's okay to give yourself some grace, even if you feel like you're not doing the best you could, because that's how I felt. But yeah, we just gotta trust in God and let Him handle the end results. So yeah, thank you guys so much for checking out this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. God bless.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that